Houston, welcome in Carlos Gomez. Hello. Goodbye.
Oh man, yeah. We rockin' now for real. Yeah. BS3 Sports. Okay, sports news, get it first when you're getting out for work. Even when you're at work, acting like you're working hard when you're hardly working. I'm a maverick like Dirk, getting Franklin's like Kirk. Hold up, boy. X-Squad, you don't know them boys? Being talking facts on every topic. Overall, we just talking noise, just being boys. Covering Texas sports in them tall hills. That with the fake pass over to Elliott. Better guard your grills like a car for real. Yeah, Cowboys gonna bring a bowl back, Lord willing. Yeah, Mavericks gonna bring a ring back with Mark in it. We live sports, we talk sports, we dream sports, we eat sports. The teacher about to teach the course. Welcome to BS3 Sports. Gross. Oh man, yeah.
Welcome to the weekend wrap-up show, episode 161. Boom. Tighten up. Man, what a great weekend of sports. At NFL Divisional Round, we'll be talking about also college football playoff championship preview and more. So we got great sports to get into. Also, we'll be doing the Benny Awards to the top performers of the weekend, like we always do at the end of the show. So I want to give a shout out to all of my BS3 radio family. Also, shout out to my X Squad radio fam, No Phony Podcast Network family. Also, the show is now on sportstalkchannel.com. You'll be able to listen to the show at 5 Eastern time on sportstalkchannel.com. So make sure to tune in, check it out there as well. So, man, we had some NFL news also before the games, had some Hall of Fame announced, if that makes sense. But we had a couple of them that really stood out. One of them in particular, Bill Cowher. We all remember Bill Cowher from the Steelers days. A lot of great experience, a lot of great teams that he coached. Bettis, he coached Cordell Stewart. He also coached Big Ben during a point in time. But he will be inducted into the 2020 Hall of Fame. They surprised him on NFL on CBS, which I thought that was great. What better way to announce someone into the Hall of Fame than to just surprise them? Just walk up to them on the set of a show that they're recording and just surprise them. I thought that was great. The other one, Jimmy Johnson, which I'm in Dallas, which some of you know, some of you may not know. I am a Cowboys fan. I wasn't a Cowboys fan during the time of the Jimmy Johnson era as far as coaching, but I have been one for quite some time. And to see the way Jimmy Johnson responded, you think of, and he pretty much put it perfectly. All the head coaches or assistant coaches I've had, all the players that have played for me, it's special. You think of all the hard work you put in, just in anything you do, work, school, podcasting. You put in work with this. You put in blood, sweat, and tears, if you will. And he was moved to tears. He almost was out of breath. He was so touched by what had happened with him being inducted into the Hall of Fame. So the Jimmy Johnson one was really not good to see. He'll be going into Canton. So we have two coaches, Bill Cowher, Jimmy Johnson. I'm not sure on the rest of the new class of 2020, but those will be announced as well. But that was a great way that they did it. Some people don't like that type of attention, but to me, that was an awesome way to do it and to represent those people and show appreciation to them. Also, we had some coaching We had some coaching hires and fires, which you're tuned into the weekend wrap-up show. And we'll get to the title, which is Boom, Tighten Up. I was going to call it Tighten Up, sucker. But boom, tighten up. We'll talk about that here in a minute because we have some great games. But the Browns have hired Vikings offensive coordinator Kevin Stefanski as their head coach. Is this the right hire for the Browns? They've been through this carousel long enough. I don't know if this is it. I don't know if this is the right guy. Honestly, I cannot tell you that. I don't think anyone can tell you that, but it has been year after year after year that we have seen different coaches come through here, haven't had success. Maybe they had a little bit of success, but they were fired shortly after. Hugh Jackson, recently, Hugh Jackson was there. I believe they had Todd Haley there at one point in time. I mean, they've gone back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The recent person, Freddie Kitchens, which I don't think Freddie Kitchens was the right guy to manage those personalities. I just don't think he was the right guy. You can't go through this and just have anybody and everybody be able to manage the likes of Odell Beckham Jr., you got Jarvis Landry, and then you got Baker Mayfield, who walks into every building crotch first. So you can't just have any random guy be the coach. You can't do that, especially with this Browns team. You need someone that can really come in and help this organization. So you look at the past couple years. Let's go back to 2009, 2010. Eric Mangini, Pat Shurmur, Rob Chudanowski, he was there, Mike Pettit, Hugh Jackson, Greg Williams, Freddie Kitchens, and now Kevin Stefanowski. So the list is extremely long, and we're going back to 2007. Before that, they had Romeo Crennel. So I'm not going to be negative and say, I hope the Browns lose. I want them to win. I think the Browns winning would be good for football. I think that would be good for that division. I think that'll be good for that conference. And I do want them to have some success. So we'll see what happens from here. They do have a new head coach, Vikings OC, Kevin Stefanski. Probably saying that wrong. But anyway, he is stepping in the building. He will be the new head coach. Also, there was a firing. Browns head coach Vic Fangio. No, he's not fired, but he did fire his offensive coordinator, Rick Scangarello, which, boy, that's a name right there. But he is now fired. The Broncos did have a tough time offensively this year. You do have to think about it, though. You did have an old Joe Flacco back there running everything. Then you figured out, hey, Drew Lock is here. Let's give him a chance. And he had a little bit of success. But they're going to have to bounce back. I know their focus is definitely to get them back to a Super Bowl status. But I don't know how quickly that's going to come. And you're going to have to be patient. And this has been the problem under John Elway. How good at you are really drafting and developing quarterbacks. Because after the Peyton Manning era, you started Trevor Siemian. You had Osweiler. Then you drafted Paxton Lynch, which obviously that didn't work out. So we'll see what happens with the Broncos going forward. Again, they fired their offensive coordinator. And let's get to the NFL Divisional Round games. NFL season's almost over. Super Bowl is almost here. It goes by. It goes by so fast. as much as we want to allow this to go on forever, it goes by extremely fast, and it is hard to think that the season's almost over, but it is. So hopefully everybody enjoyed it, because we got the championship round and then we got the Super Bowl, and that's it. Well, then we'll lead up to the draft, but that'll always be conversation. And me being a Cowboys fan, you got Mike McCarthy just coming in, brand new staff. You want to see how successful they're going to be, what plans they're going to bring in, but you're not going to see that for a while. But the NFL Divisional Round, first game up, 49ers playing against the Vikings. They dominated the Vikings. I'm not surprised. If anyone is surprised, you need to look in the mirror, because the Vikings barely won the previous game, and the Vikings have been rocky all season. And the 49ers have been blazing a trail all season. 49ers win 27-10. 49ers will host the NFC Championship game. Nick Bosa went off, and this defense went off. But Nick Bosa in particular, which he was a great draft pick. He really was. From what you were getting out of him and the success that he's had so far, he was definitely a great draft pick. He had 2 of San Francisco's 6 sacks. I think San Francisco can definitely go to the Super Bowl. I think they definitely can do it, because they have all the pieces in place. Great defense, offense, and the offense is not selfish. There is not one player that I can think of on this offense that is selfish. Me. You got Emmanuel Sanders. You got a running back by committee, and all of these guys run well. And you got Jimmy G, who is looking legit. We can no longer put Jimmy G in this conversation and just say, oh, he's just average. Now, he only had 131, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, but he has proven throughout the season in numerous games that he has been able to drive his team and score. Minnesota had 147 total yards, 7 first downs. That's bad. Tevin Coleman had 22 for 105 and 2 touchdowns. San Francisco's able to play their game and do what works for them. They're not worrying about what everybody else is saying. They're playing their game and doing what works for them. And you see that they went with the running game, and it was extremely successful. Also, Deebo Samuel's 3 receptions, 42 yards. Kendrick Bourne had a touchdown. Kendrick Bourne is an unsung hero for this team. I didn't know who he was before the season started, but I definitely got to know who he was as this season has continued. 49ers move on. First playoff game in 6 years. It was in Santa Clara. They are now moving on. Kirk Cousins, 172, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Dalvin Cook, 9 for 18. That is not a recipe for winning when that happens. It's not. Richard Sherman getting a pick as he was running off the field saying, I like that. I like that. That was a great pun right there. Richard Sherman was not targeted as much, but when the ball was thrown his direction, he got the interception. That's what winners do. That's what players do. That's what the best of the best do. And during his press conference, he was basically saying, I'm tired of people disrespecting me. I'm doing what I need to do to help my team win. I am a shutdown corner. And he has shown. And he's getting bigger too. If you look at Richard Sherman from a couple years back to now, he's been in the weight room. I was thinking, man, is he gonna move to safety? Because the boy is looking rather hefty, in my opinion. But 49ers move on. They have a game coming up, which we will talk about these here in a minute too. But they will be playing the Packers. Packers got to travel. So we're going to take a break. We will be right back. You're tuned into the Weekend Wrap-Up Show. Welcome back to the Weekend Wrap-Up Show right here on a variety of different places, BS3 Radio, also sportstalkchannel.com. The show will be playing at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Mondays. So you can definitely check that out on that avenue. Also bs3radio.com. All right, so 49ers did exactly what they needed to do. They got the win. They took care of business. So they move on. The other game from Saturday, which brings you to the title of today's show. Boom! Tighten up. The Tennessee Titans, not only did they beat New England in New England, but then they went to Baltimore and beat the Tennessee Titans. Who would have ever thought that was going to happen? Definitely not me, and probably not you, if you want to be straight up honest. This Baltimore team, which was on a winning streak, they went 14-2 in the regular season. Lamar Jackson having one heck of a year. This was unexpected. This was really unexpected. But my hats off, salute. I'm going to go ahead and get a Benny Award right now to my man Derrick Henry. Went 30 for 195. He put the team on his back. That's also a funny line from a YouTube video from a guy playing Madden, if you guys have heard that before. But he put the team on his back, though. 195 yards. Most by a single player versus the Ravens. Also, first player in NFL history with 180-plus rushing yards in 3 straight games. This guy's a flat-out monster. We remember his time in Alabama. You remember that he won the Heisman. So let's not be surprised that this is what Derrick Henry is doing. He just needed his opportunity. He just needed his shot. And once he got in there, it was over. And he has been running with the ball with a mission, a man with a mission for these past few games and throughout the season. And he got the rushing title. So Tennessee beats Baltimore, becoming the first 6th seed to reach the conference championship since 2010. So, man, that is great what the Titans were able to achieve. And their defense played extremely well. They picked off Lamar Jackson twice. Honestly, don't know how many times this season Lamar Jackson was picked off twice. But Lamar had 365, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Led the team in rushing, 20 for 143. But they did lose. They did. If you look at those numbers, you would say Baltimore would win that game. They did not. Marquise Hollywood Brown at 7 for 126. It was not enough. And they lost 28-12. You would have thought this game was closer, but it was not. Tannehill with 2 touchdowns. He threw for 88 yards. And look, I'm going to go ahead and say this right now. We need to get off of this. Tannehill has dramatically changed this team, and he's the reason why they're making it this far. I'm going to have to decline on that. Derrick Henry is the reason why they have made it this far. He has put the team on his back 2 games in a row. Tannehill, yes, he threw for 2 touchdowns, so I'm not going to slide him on that. But he threw for 88 yards. There is some leadership I would give him credit for, but I am not going to give him credit for them winning these past 2 games. Derrick Henry has put the team on his back. I'm not going to say that again. People tweeting Ryan Tannehill for MVP. Boy, come on, son. Come on. The dude had 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. If that's not a definition of bus driver and please don't make any mistakes, I really don't know what is. So I don't want Derrick Henry to be getting any less credit than what he should be getting, which he put the team on his back against going into New England. Also just running over Baltimore like they were little kids. One of the best stiff arms of all time was the one that he had. This game, Earl Thomas was coming up trying to tackle him. So he stiff arms him. Earl Thomas gets turned around, and then he pushes him, and Earl Thomas is looking like he's blocking for Derrick Henry. Crazy. Straight craziness right there. Straight craziness right there. But that was a great game. The greatest thing about this whole playoffs is that the New England Patriots won't be in it. That gives me so much joy. I'm sure that gives everybody joy except people in Boston and except New England Patriots fans. But I feel sorry. Nope. Psych. No, I don't. I'm happy. I'm happy they're not going to the playoffs. They've had so many runs. So many runs going to the playoffs. It's okay if you don't make it one time. It's okay if you're not going to the Super Bowl this time. Don't cry about it. You got 6 of them jokers. Don't cry about it. I don't want to hear any New England Patriots fan coming up to me crying that you guys didn't make it as far as you wanted to in the playoffs. Stop it. Stop it. Be happy for how far you've gotten all these past years. Your time's running out. Your clock is running out. Father Time is undefeated. It's never lost. In the words of LeVar Ball, never lost. So stop crying about it. Pick your backpack up, pick your lunchbox up, and go home. So, Titans going in Baltimore, getting the win. They will now have a very tough matchup playing in Kansas City. That's going to be a tough one. But they have won 2 very tough games in 2 very tough places. So I'm not counting them out. I'm not picking them to win. I'm not doing that yet. But I'm not counting them out because they've done it twice against 2 very formidable teams and defenses. So Derrick Henry had a great game. 66 rushing touchdown. And then he threw for a touchdown pass. And I put on social media, oh my God, the trickery of these people. The trickery. They bring in Marcus Mariota at quarterback, and then they slide him out to wide receiver, and Derrick Henry's right there in a wildcat. So he catches the ball. I'm thinking, okay, he's going to run with it. No, he throws a jump pass to Corey Davis. So the guy is thrown and ran for a touchdown in a playoff game. Doesn't get any better than that. And his birthday was the game against the Patriots that they won. Does not get any better than that. And to play on the words of Melvin Ingram and what the Ravens have been talking about, big trust. Todd Sharp comes to the podium, says big trust, whoop whoop. You got a problem with that? Come see me. Man, I love that kind of stuff, man. I love that trash talk. I love that going back and forth. And the Titans are moving forward. So they get a huge win. They stun everybody except themselves. Mike Vrabel's doing a great job. That defense and giving Derrick Henry the ball. Move out of the way. So let's get to the games from Sunday, which those were good as well. Kansas City, let's talk about Kansas City and Houston first. Houston goes up big. I didn't see this full game. I did see part of it. But Houston goes up big. At the first half, at the end of the first half, it was, at the end of the first quarter, it was 21-0. 21-0. I'm thinking, what is going on in these playoffs? Tennessee moving forward. Is Houston about to surprise KC? Guess what, though? Didn't happen. It did not happen. But the Texans were up 21-0. You had Deshaun Watson throwing a touchdown, 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. And then you had a punt block. And then the rest of the game, the Texans scored 10 points. And the Chiefs scored 51 points. They scored 28 points in the second quarter. Craziness. That's craziness. Patrick Mahomes with 4 touchdowns. Kelsey had 3 in the second quarter. They blew up. They blew up that second quarter. And then you're going into halftime, and the score is 28-24 Chiefs. That's a real team for you right there. That's a real team that does not play. When they go down, they find a way to come back and win games. And that's exactly what they did. Exactly what they did. Came back with a mission, with force, and they won that game 51-31. To end the game, crazy stats right here. Pat Mahomes, 23 for 35, 321 yards, 5 touchdowns. Deshaun Watson threw 52 times. This was not a running game type game. This was pass all day, every day. Patrick Mahomes led the team in rushing, 7 for 53. Carlos Hyde at 13 for 44. Travis Kelsey with 3 touchdowns, which again, like I said, was all in the second quarter. Wow. That's crazy. But you're looking at the game early on and you're thinking, huge upset. Oh my God, Houston's about to win this. Well, nope, that's not what happened. Houston did not move on. I'm a fan of Deshaun Watson's, but his offensive line is horrible. That is their main focus this offseason. Either figuring out what is wrong or drafting somebody for this O-line. Because Deshaun Watson seems to be running for his life every single game. Patrick Mahomes become the first player in NFL postseason history with 300 passing yards, 50 rushing yards, and 5 touchdowns in a single game. Also, this is the first team to win a playoff game by 20 points after trailing by 20 points. They're the real deal. And I believe I am picking the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl. They'll be going up against the Titans. Titans going to Kansas City. I think this is the end of the road for the Titans. I think they've had a great run. I think they have been able to play well with the running game and defense, but I think this is it. And I'm beyond excited to see KC going to the Super Bowl. If I am wrong, I will come back on this show next week, and I've said this numerous times on all of my shows. If I'm wrong, I'll admit that I was wrong. I'll come back on here and say I was wrong. But I don't think I'm going to be wrong. I think the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. The other game, Packers versus Seattle. I was picking Seattle to win. Looks like I was wrong on this one. And Green Bay, 28-23, and they end up winning this game. And Packers just showing that they are the real deal, especially with Aaron Rodgers. So we are going to take another break. We will be right back. You're tuned in to the Weekend Wrap-Up Show. bs3radio.com, sportstalkchannel.com. Welcome back to the Weekend Wrap-Up Show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, joining in. Make sure you give us a 5-star review on iTunes. Also, leave us a review. Let us know how you feel about the shows on BS3 Radio. All right, so Green Bay wins 28-23. Green Bay will play San Francisco at San Francisco. Davante Adams could not be stopped. He was just on another level. And honestly, he was just better, leaps and bounds above the Seattle Seahawks corners. 160 yards, 2 touchdowns on 8 receptions. On the flip side, you look at Tyler Lockett, which he couldn't be touched either. 9 receptions, 136 yards and a touchdown. So both of them went off. But in the end of it all, which the Packers were up 21-3 early on, you're starting to think, is this going to be a blowout? Seahawks end up scoring 14 in the third and 6 in the fourth. They were right there to win the game. They just could not do it. The Packers defense was all over the field. And I want to give a shout out to one particular defensive player. This guy has been crazy this year. Zadarius Smith. Where did this guy come from? He had 2 tackles, 2 sacks. He has been all over the field all season long. Wherever they got Zadarius Smith from, the GM should be applauded for that. Because this guy's been crazy. This is his 5th year in the league. He had 4 with Baltimore. This is his first year with Green Bay. This dude has been worth every last penny that they are paying him. 13.5 sacks this year. 41 tackles. 1 forced fumble. The guy has been amazing. And he's been every time there's been a quarterback coming through here, he has been running after them, and they have been running around like crazy because they didn't have a choice. So Davante Adams, like I said, 162 touchdowns. You look at the quarterback play, Russell Wilson was scrambling like he does best, 277, 1 touchdown. He honestly needed 1 more touchdown, which was on that last drive to give them the win, and he couldn't do it. Not because he chose not to, but because the defense was just all over him. Aaron Rodgers had 243, 2 touchdowns. Russell Wilson led the team in rushing. That's normally not a good sign. Aaron Jones had 21 carries, 62 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Salute to Aaron Jones. The guy continues to show that he is not only a lead back, but he is one of the top running backs in the game. And before the game even started, I'm learning that there's a lot of Packers fans either coming out of the woodworks or they've been a fan all along. But Anthony Davis was at the game. He came out with the jersey, with the Aaron Rodgers jersey on, with the hat on. I'm like, man, AD, I didn't know you was a Packers fan. Yeah, Lil Wayne at the game on center field, repping his Packers gear. I didn't know either one of them was Packers fans. Seattle has lost 9 straight at Lambeau Field. They cannot win at Lambeau, obviously. Now, let's go to a very important part of the game. That was the pass that was thrown to Jimmy Graham, which people were saying, was that a first down? Should that have been a first down? There was a lot of talk on that. Some people were saying the line was above where the first down marker was. And honestly, at this point, it doesn't really matter because the game's over with. But I would say it didn't look like a first down. From where he went down, from where the ball was, from where the yellow line was, it didn't look like it. But sometimes the actual first down marker is not where that yellow line was. And from some clips I've seen, it was not. But I've said this so many times, do not allow the game to come down on a play that you have to depend on the refs. Don't do it, because it's not going to come out. It's not going to work in your factor or in your favor. And you're in Green Bay, so yes, newsflash, Green Bay is going to get the call. You don't think home field advantage is a real thing? It is. I didn't think it was a first down, just based on what I was watching. But it was called a first down based on what the marker was. And it is what it is now. Packers move on. 28-23. They will be playing at the 49ers. We got two great games for these championship games. AFC, you got Titans at Chiefs. I'm picking the Chiefs right now. Put me on record right now picking the Chiefs. NFC, you got Packers at 49ers. That's a hard one to pick, but I'm going to lead towards a team that's been doing it all year. I'm going to go with the 49ers. I think they're going to edge it out. I love their defense. They have a no-name defense. I can name a couple names on that defense, but honestly, it is a bunch of no-name guys that just come in, work, get the job done, get sacks. Richard Sherman obviously is a well-known name. You could factor in DeForest Buckner. I know him because the Cowboys are going to be looking to draft him. And then the third name, Armstead. And then Greenlaw, which I know him from recent games. But this is a defense that if you put them in a lineup, you may not be able to point any of these guys out besides Richard Sherman. But they play sound defense. I was doubtful about Shanahan, but Shanahan has come in and obviously he's built some type of culture because they play differently. They play hard offense. They play an unselfish offense. They're able to run the ball. Jimmy G's able to do what he needs to do. He has won games when it came down to it, especially that game against the Saints. I believe that was in New Orleans. Let's rewind back. So I got 49ers, Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Book it. Book it. All right, so we also have some college football from this weekend, and then we'll talk about Clemson versus LSU, do a preview. But also I wanted to touch on one other thing. We all know Marshawn Lynch came back this year, came out of retirement, but he gave some of the young bucks some good knowledge, which we've heard this numerous times before, but coming from a guy who has retired and then come back, retired and then come back again, he's just saying take care of your body, take care of your money, do it while you're young. And what part of what he was saying is that he's been here before, so he knows what it is on the other side. He knows what it is to be retired. He knows what it is when you're able to manage your money and you're able to live off of it comfortably. So I appreciate him giving that knowledge. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. I did not mention that. 2 1-yard rushing touchdowns. So shout out to Marshawn Lynch from the Bay Area. I'm from the Bay Area as well. So it's always great to see Bay Area. People do big. So like I mentioned, being in Texas, in Dallas, there's a game that's always held on Saturday in January, and that is the College Football Championship That is I think they call it FCS now, or Division 2. And the game was against North Dakota State and James Madison. North Dakota State continues, they are dominating the FCS. And when I say dominating, I'm not saying a couple wins here and there. They have won 8 straight FCS national championships. And they won this one on a late game interception that could have went either way. Shout out to North Dakota State. Salute. That is the definition of a dynasty. I met one of the fans, and I was asking him, why don't they move up? Why don't they go to Division 1? He was like, why? Why should they? They're dominating where they are. I was like, well, I guess you're right. I didn't really have a comeback. But I'm thinking to play tougher competition, that would be the reason why. To maybe get more money. Carson Wentz is a North Dakota State alum. They are dominant. If you want to see a college football dynasty, that's North Dakota State. 8 straight. That is honestly unheard of. I don't think that's happened anywhere. And they had a perfect season. So they won 16-0 with a perfect season. So salute to North Dakota State. Also, from college football, the College Football Playoff Committee will be meeting today. There is new voices in the room. They're saying there will not be any type of changes expected. I'll get that. But this college football playoff has been successful. And in life, in anything you do, you want to make it better. In anything you do, you don't want to be stagnant. You just don't want to keep it at 4 games forever. They're eventually going to change it. I don't know when, but they're going to change it because this brings so much money. And then if you're able to extend this out even further, if you're able to get top teams, if you're able to get 8 top teams in college football, and you're able to get that over a couple of weekends, now that would mean you would have Georgia, Oregon, Baylor, Wisconsin. You would want to see those guys. You want to see what they have in an extended postseason. So I think it's going to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen now. And we have the college football championship game today. Clemson versus LSU. The 2 best teams in the nation. I've been very critical. I've been extremely critical of Clemson. I didn't think they were the team to make it this far this year. I picked Ohio State, and I was wrong. And obviously, you get to this point, and Clemson has shown that they have been able to win. When everyone doubted them, Clemson has been able to win, and they are favored. Favored according to ESPN Matchup Predictor, 55%, excuse me. I'm gonna pick against them again. I'm sorry, Clemson. Sorry, all Clemson fans. I think LSU, this is LSU's year. You know, sometimes when you're watching the sport, it just looks like it's their year this year. Joe Burrow wins the Heisman. 55 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Carson Edwards, Hilaire, 1,300 yards, 16 touchdowns. The wide receivers of LSU are just crazy. It is crazy. Jefferson, Chase, Jamar Chase is actually leading the team with 1,500 yards, 18 touchdowns. But these wide receivers are crazy. Their stats are crazy. They're able to catch whatever balls come to them. Jefferson's second. He has 1434, 18 touchdowns. They have 2 wide receivers over 1,000 yards. That's crazy. And they're looking really good. So a couple of questions. How do you slow down Clemson? I think you slow them down with this LSU defense. Now, they do have Travis Etienne, who has 1,500 yards rushing. T. Higgins. It's going to be difficult, but I think LSU is going to be able to dial up a defense to be able to take care of Clemson. I think they can do it. And Trevor Lawrence, Clemson had a rocky year this year. They almost lost to my North Carolina Tar Heels. Trevor Lawrence was a little rocky. Didn't have that great of a year, what everyone expected him to. But I do believe Clemson's going to get, I'm not going to say they're going to get shut down, because I think it is going to equal into some type of shootout. It's going to be a close game, and I think it's going to be a higher scoring game. But I'm not picking Clemson to win. They're playing in New Orleans, so it's basically a home game for LSU. So that's home field advantage right there for you. The other question that you could ask yourself, does LSU's offense have a weakness? I would say no. Have we seen it? I haven't seen a weakness, especially the way they mowed through Oklahoma like they were a JV team. I don't see a weakness. Which pass defense is going to be better? Honestly, I think Clemson's is going to be better because I think they have the better defensive line. But we have shown throughout this entire season that Joe Burrow is able to get around. He's able to be mobile. So I'm picking LSU. Let me know who you guys have. I'm going to pick LSU. So that's the big game, College Football National Championship, starting at 7 Central, 8 Eastern. It's going to be a good one, though. We got the 2 best teams. They've done everything that they needed to do to get here. And this is what we've been waiting for. Last college football game of the season. So let's go to some college basketball from the weekend. My Tar Heels continue to struggle. It is stressing me out. I don't think they're gonna make the tournament this year. Which that you don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. Come on, guys. But they're not playing good basketball. They're 8-8 right now. I think they'll bounce back when Cole Anthony ends up coming back. I don't know when that is. I thought it was sometime in January, maybe February, but they are not looking good at all. And it's going to be extremely hard for them to win a lot of games. They may end up going 500 or a couple of games over 500, which I haven't seen that in a while. And we could be seeing the ending of Roy Williams' career as a head coach. I'm not putting this on him, but he said over this weekend that Clemson, the loss to Clemson, which they lost in overtime, 79-76, was his biggest regret in 32 years of coaching. That's a huge statement right there. That is a huge statement when you say that is your biggest regret. And this may be it for him. Not because they fired him, but because he may step down. Brandon Robinson had 27 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. But just a very, very tough outings as of late for the Tar Heels. Amir Simmons had 28-6. Bad loss. We'll see what happens from here on. Michigan State's 8-game winning streak is snapped when they lose to Purdue. Not only did they lose to Purdue, but they basically got blown out. 71-42. Cassius Winston, 9 turnovers. Jared Butler had 22. Maceo Teague had 16. going to another game. But Michigan State with a huge loss. Baylor beats Kansas with a huge win. That was number 3 versus number 4. College basketball is really about to start heating up, really about to pick up. It's about to get taken to another level. But we had some good games from this weekend. Like I said, a number 4 and a number 3 matchup, Baylor getting the win. The AP Top 25 should be coming out if it's not out already. But look at Baylor and Kansas. The Big 12 is definitely some conference to be reckoned with for sure. Can't sleep on any of those teams, honestly. But right now, according to, this was released last week, so the new one's going to be coming out. So I'm not even going to mention that one because that's going to change. The news in the other category, we had tennis this weekend, specifically Serena Williams. She won her first title since 2017, since she had her daughter, Olympia. What a great name. Was there to cheer on. She beats Jessica Pegula in the ASB Classic in New Zealand. Like I said, her first trophy since the 2017 Australian Open, when she was actually pregnant. Serena is definitely in the GOAT conversation. Not just in tennis, but in sports, period. This tennis, look, let me go on a tennis rant real quick as we get towards the end of the show. Tennis is a sport where you're constantly running. You're not standing around. You're not waiting for the ball to come to you. There is a halftime, if you will. You do get breaks, but it's constant running, nonstop. That takes stamina. That takes strength. That takes a lot. And Serena does all of it. So definitely, to me, she's in the GOAT conversation. It's a great win by Serena this weekend. Congratulations to her. Moving on to baseball, specifically my Rangers, Texas Rangers fan. Obviously, I'm in Texas. They signed Todd Frazier, 1-year deal, $5 million contract. But the Rangers said they're not done. They're interested in Nolan Arenado. He's a 5-time All-Star. Texas is also willing to pay all of his $234 million contract, what's left on it. He will earn $35 annually through 2020 to 2024, $32 for 2025, and $27 for 2026. It sounds like the Rangers are all in, which I'm down for it. I want the Rangers to get back to that greatness, that 2009, 2010. I want them to get back to that. So we come to the point of the show, which we call the Benny Awards. Two of the top performers of the weekend. You have your Emmys, you have your Grammys, you have your Bennies, which is to the top performers of the weekend, named after me, myself, obviously. I'm Ben, a.k.a. BS3, a.k.a. BS3 Sports, BS3 Radio. So, I got a few Bennies I want to give out. I gave one to Derrick Henry already. He 100% deserves it. Those of you listening on Spreaker, put yours in the chat room as well. Bill Cowher going to the Hall of Fame. Jimmy Johnson, I'm going to give one to him as well. And look, on this show, there's an unlimited amount of bennies, okay? I have a whole closet full of bennies, so don't worry about giving out too many. It's an endless amount. It doesn't matter. I'm going to give one to the San Francisco defense. I'm going to give one to Derrick Henry. Already did that. Got to give one to Devontae Adams. 160 and 2 touchdowns. Also Patrick Mahomes with 5 touchdowns. North Dakota State as well with a great win, and Serena Williams. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the weekend wrap-up show. Have a great week. Have a great day. God bless. God is love. Peace.